yes, indeed, folks. So listen to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Tor Biscuit. That was a wonderful 7 minutes of heaven, or should I say hell, as regards to some classic thrashy sounds there. Big fan of that. Go check them out. myspace.com/Torture Band. You can buy their album there. I already had several people asking me where to do that. Go check it out. They have the link to the buy there. Now, I've got a few things to cover before we go on with our next segment. I'll be telling you about the contest in 15 minutes' time. I'm not going to do it now. What I will tell you about is our petition to have the Baker added as the new hero class. Now, people have been asking me why I've been doing this. It's mostly to prove a point. And the point that I'm trying to prove is this. You can get a large number of people to ask for any old stupid thing, and that doesn't mean Blizzard has to grant it. The argument recently has been made that since a bunch of people, specifically about 600 or so, signed a petition to get classic realms, i.e. pre-TBC and pre-Wrath realms, made by Blizzard to play on, that they should clearly implement it and that they're not going to stop until it happens. Well, you know what? Before telling you guys about this on my show today, I had 484 signatures, and I only put this up a couple of days ago, and I twittered it, and that was about it. So, if you want to help me prove a point, then you can head over to the page to sign the petition. Yes, indeed. Sign the petition for the Baker class. It's petitiononline.com/Baker123/petition.html. That's petitiononline.com/Baker123/petition.html. Now, it's blatantly obvious that this is actually going to happen, because it's been started to be implemented already. Not kidding. It's already becoming part of the game. You see that baker's hat, that chef's hat? That is the first stage of the implementation of the Baker hero class. So you, my friends, can join the army of the bread. We need your support. We cooked up a brilliant idea, a half-baked solution, and we will just not roll over and accept their excuses. So yes, go support the Baker hero class. You know you want to. Right. Anyway, it's time to talk about a certain boss. As you may be aware, the new raid instance, Ulduar, was launched in 3.1, and we've been waiting for 5 months for this thing. Seriously, when it finally arrived... Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Yeah, it was that. There was clouds of angels coming down from the heavens. So many that there were literally clouds of them, with the harps and the trombones and the accordions. Those are the French angels. They're not very popular. So, what do we think about it? Well, that's a great question. Such a great question. In fact, I'm going to be spending the entire show talking about Ulduar in one respect or another. However, it is possible that you may be able to derail my Ulduar talk by participating in your interactive feature segment, as I like to call it, also known as Mail a Topic to Total Biscuit and you might read it. It's the illusion of choice! Yes, you can email the Murloc@gmail.com. That is the Murloc@gmail.com, and I will shatter your illusions of choice here on the show for the last 15 minutes. Email in your chosen topic, and you may get selected, or you may not. We shall see what happens. Now, let's talk a bit about Ulduar. Ulduar is up in Storm Peaks, as you might imagine. Ulduar has 14 bosses, if I remember correctly, one of which is only accessible once you kill everything on hard mode. Yes, it's that tough. That's why it's not down yet, but we're talking about that later in the show. First thing to talk about with Ulduar is the initial segment of Ulduar, the initial section, the first bit. Because when you go into Ulduar, what you actually see, and I imagine some of you have not gone in there yet, so if you don't want to be spoiled, well, I suggest you kind of skip the entire show, because you've got to get loads of them. But what I'll say is, you go in and you see this bubble, this kind of energy sphere, being projected by a bunch of Dalaran battle mages, and there's a bunch of vehicles all over the place. And you see Bran Bronzebeard, and you see a bunch of people from the Explorers League and goblins and all that kind of thing, and they're chatting amongst themselves, trying to plan an assault into Ulduar, and you come along and it's like, hey, you can do it, and you start the event. And you've got to basically get to the first boss, yeah? But it's not the traditional kind of pulling. Oh, no, because you see, there are 4 kinds of vehicles in which you can ride. Is it 4? It might be 4 or 3, I can't remember. But there are Demolishers, yes, it's 3. There's Demolishers, there are siege engines, and there are bikes, choppers, yeah? And you have to ride in these things, because when you set out, when you sally forth, past the shield, you are assailed by literally hundreds, if not thousands of mobs. Loads of them. Tons and tons of iron dwarves. Loads of kinds of iron dwarves as well. And you've got to blast your way through. And it's at night, it's a moving mobile assault. Now, each of these vehicles can do different things. The chopper, which is what I was riding, and what I will say, the best thing about this, is I can now ride my Murloc suit while on the chopper, and it won't disappear when I attack. Yes, I can do a raid encounter while in the Murloc suit, which has been my dream since AQ40. Since AQ40. And it never happened, but now finally it is. I'm getting a bit tearful here. Now, this chopper can do a couple of things. It can do a speed boost, which is like goes vroom vroom. It's awesome. Oh, it's win. And it's got a sonic horn, which does a conal damage effect, which you can spam and uses energy. You can also drop oil slick. Now, this is the kind of important thing. By dropping oil slick, you not only slow those who go through it, but the demolishers can ignite the oil slick and turn it on fire. And it burns, and it does tons of damage. It's pretty awesome. Now, the demolishers and the siege engines obviously have different roles. And some of these are multi-person vehicles. Some people are driving. Well, I think is it with the siege engines? Yes, I believe it is. You get cannons on the siege engines. You also get battering rams. So the driver can use the battering ram, but your passenger uses the cannon. It's the first real, proper use of the siege engines. Whereas with, say, Wintergrasp, it's not really like that. It's like one person can drive and do all the damage, and you might be able to hop in the Demolisher and do some DPS if you like, but you're non-essential. Whereas in Ulduar, you are absolutely essential when it comes to using these vehicles. Now, you blast through this, and there is like a couple of mini-bosses, and once you get through it, you encounter the big boss, which is the Flame Leviathan, and he engages you. Now, there's a lot to say about this fight, and there's a lot to like about this fight, because you know me. I've been a critic of the vehicle mechanic, certainly in PvE so far, and I think that this time they've really nailed it. And you want to know why? Well, I'll tell you why. This is not some arbitrary silliness, like, oh look, we're now riding on dragons in Phase 3 Malagos and all doing the same thing. It's refined, it's slick, it's streamlined, and it's to the point. Each vehicle has a different role. It is a mobile fight. Think a mixture of Burrow the Gorger. Actually, yeah, it's pretty much Burrow the Gorger. Burrow the Gorger in vehicles. So what he does is he locks onto someone. And bear in mind, in the meantime, he's got a soft enrage because he is firing tons of missiles at everybody. It's like, it's such an impressive fight to see. This tank rolls in and starts gouging missiles out at everybody. It's wonderful, and you're taking like 3k hits all the time. And that means it's got a soft enrage, so you can't muck about, because they're going to blow up your vehicles if you're not careful, and you can't get out of there until you either wipe or beat the boss. Now, he's supposed to chase the siege engines, but sometimes he'll chase the Demolisher. He chases the siege engines around, he locks onto one, so obviously you have to kite it round. Now, he constantly gains speed, a la Burrow the Gorger. How do you remove that speed? Well, he drops some oil slicks in front of him, of course. So you got the choppers constantly crisscrossing all over the arena, dropping oil slicks down there. He gets slowed by the oil slicks, it removes some of his gathering speed debuff. He can also set the oil slicks on fire to do extra damage. All the meantime, people are pounding away at him with cannons and everything like that, and one of the best, coolest things about this fight is that you can throw your raid members from the Demolishers, you can fire them out of the catapult. And you have to do this. You fire them out of the catapult on top of the Flame Leviathan. Yes, you can go on top of a moving boss. It's like Shadow of the Colossus in here. And you can blow up its defensive turrets and get access to its kind of mainframe and do damage to the mainframe. Once the mainframe is down, you can nuke the crap out of it until it goes up again, and you rinse and repeat. It feels so right. It is a constantly mobile fight. It is not finicky and annoying like Malagos. Phase 3, finicky, annoying, pointless, horrible. It's like you all stack up, you can't see anything, it's just irritating. It's like, let's cast these little things. No, this time everyone is moving. Everyone is mobile, because the entire fight is mobile. You're all over the arena. You've got the bikes zipping around, dropping the oil slick. You've got the Demolishers flanking around. You've got siege engines going around the side, firing with their cannons. And all the while, this massive great tank in the middle is blasting everything. It's awesome. It is just absolutely stellar. I don't believe they pulled it off, but they did. They came through. Not only that, of course, but there are not one, not two, but three, not 4 optional hard modes. Yes, indeed. You can leave up some orbital defense batteries, which you will see around the arena. These are linked to towers, which you do in the first initial pulls of trash. You can blow up towers in order to activate hard modes. Now, this is genius, because not only is it hard mode, it rewards better players by shortening the amount of time they have to do with the trash pulls. Now, here's how it works. You got 4 towers, and these towers are like spewing out enemies, yeah? Now, you can blow up these towers, and you have to plow through a bunch of enemies and mini-bosses in order to do that. If you are good, and you can do the fight with, like, all 4 orbital towers up, which will make the fight infinitesimally harder, don't get me wrong, way more challenging, and apparently every tower you leave up, it drops better loot. So it's like scalable hard modes. If you don't blow these towers up, you can steam straight through the middle and get through the trash really quickly. There was an initial complaint in my guild, it's like, oh, this is probably going to get really old after a few attempts. It's like, yeah, you're right. But we don't have to do all of this. We don't. We can ignore the towers. As in, if we're good enough, we don't have to do the trash anymore. At least the vast majority of the trash. We can just plow through in a couple of minutes and get it done. Not only that, but we get better loot as a reward. It's perfect. That's ideal. That's the best hard mode. It's a perfect implementation of hard modes. Up until now, it seems like it's been so arbitrary. But in this case, I think the Flame Leviathan is a pattern for future hard modes. It's perfect. It rewards your raid for being awesome in several ways and on multiple levels. It saves you time. It makes sure you don't get so bored with the trash. It makes the fights more challenging. And it gives you better loot. Win-win on all fronts there. I'm shocked, actually. I'm shocked at how well they managed to do it. Now, some people will, of course, complain that Flame Leviathan is too easy. And, yes, without any towers, Flame Leviathan is pretty easy. If you don't down them in a couple of attempts, or unless you're in some horrible pug that has no idea what they're doing, then you're very, very silly. What can I say? But you can scale it. Now, there's another thing I really like about this fight as well. It gives you the opportunity to play different roles. So you can mix it up. You can vary it. You can vary what you do. Healing is a non-factor. So it lets the healers, of course, do some damage for a change. It lets people who are not usually mobile, who are standing around firing, be mobile. You know what? One of the best things I like about this, and this really has nothing to do about it, it's just kind of me gushing on how good this fight actually is the fact that the choppers, yeah, you're driving around in these choppers, and you have a sidecar, just like you would with a Mechaniers chopper and the Hog and stuff like that. And it actually plays a role. And what role does it play? Well, once you jump up on the Flame Leviathan, you can't stay up there for too long. You've got to come down. Once you come down, you are vulnerable to being killed by the missiles. Like, the missiles do about 3k to the vehicles, but they do more like 20, 30k to anyone on the ground, so they're pretty much going to kill you. Now, the choppers can race around and grab the guys. Literally, they can run past and they can jump in the chopper to save themselves from dying. So it's yet another role. It's like, it's a rescue role. That's never been done before. Ever. You get to drive around and rescue people from dying. It's like kind of being a tank, only not. It's a brand new role for the game. We'd never seen it before. It's original. It's cool. Now, some people will dismiss this fight as a gimmick fight. And some people will say, oh no, more vehicles in our PvE, what's going on? But I will say this, it is only one encounter. And it is done very well. It's no Oculus, and it's certainly no Malagos Phase 3. This is vehicles done right. This is vehicles done better than Strand of the Ancients. This is vehicles done better than Wintergrasp. This is vehicles done in the way that they should have been done initially. The controls work. The arena is perfect. The boss is great fun. Everything is fantastic about this fight. So you've got to give them kudos for that. Because I never thought they'd pull it off. Yet they did. So there you go. Yes, I love Flame Leviathan. Flame Leviathan is a great encounter. Yes, it's a little bit easy without the hard modes, but hey, don't like it easy? Then don't kill the towers. That is entirely your raid's decision. You're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit. I'll be right back after this with information about how you can win a copy of Arthas Rise of the Lich King. Only here on WoW Radio. And after the break, we'll be talking about Ulduar's difficulty level. I'll be right back after this, folks. You're listening to Blue Please on WCRadio.com. Enjoy.